Okay, everybody, welcome. Merrill Chandler here, your host of the Let's Not Break the Bank news update. Now, today, exciting news going on. There is a certain level of prognostication. How about some prophecy? How's some future casting going on among bankers? And over 60% of 450 bank executives that were surveyed, based on their historical data. Remember, the economy moves as a compilation or as an aggregation of all the mini markets on the inside. Bankers for over 100 years have crazy specific details on what the contraction and expansion within their own banking models has been over, like I said, over the last 100 years. So 450 bank executives, almost 60% of them believe that interest rates will peak in the first half of 2023, that the end of the rise of interest rates will hit somewhere before June of next year, and then it will start to recalibrate. Now, what's interesting is that, as we know, there are, between now and then, especially before the end of the year, they're anticipating a rise in funding costs, but a lesser demand for what they call loans, but all credit instruments, right? Credit cards, credit lines, and business and loans, personal and business, right? So there will be so they're anticipating lower results or lower demand on loans. Now, remember, lenders make money when they lend. And so what we need to remember is that in real estate investing, especially in entrepreneurial businesses, many of our businesses want to grow or expand during recessions. My Get Fundable is a perfect example of this. There are when interest rates were around 2%, 3%, there wasn't a whole, business flourishing, but there isn't a super high demand for the lowest cost money, because money costs were historically low, right? 2 and 3%, when the average is between 5 and 8% for the last 40 years. But as interest has creeped up, our business has creeped up in volume, because people want the lowest possible cost for their money, especially when we've all been spoiled by having 2 and 3% interest rates, right? So we need to be aware that the demand across the board is going to go down because of the cost of funds. But for real estate investors and entrepreneurs who are going to arbitrage and or leverage these credit lines and loans, the demand is going to continue. It may even rise, because if foreclosures begin, if the real estate price index continues to drop, and so more and more people, or real estate investors, are going to want to get back in the markets at these lower costs. There's going to be a demand on money, and so fundability is going to be vital, because we want the lowest possible cost. We want 5 instead of 5 1/4. We want 6 instead of 6 1/4, right? And so, but the good news for all of us is that between now and next June, there's no guarantee, and it's only 60%. It's not like 82 or 92% of bank executives believe interest rates will peak. But using their internal performance data, using their internal historical data, a lot of them, a significant majority of them, believe that the first half of the year is going to see the end of or the cease in the rise of prime. Now, the other thing that I wanted to cover today is interesting. We're going to see more of this, you guys. Apple is an innovator, has been since the Macintosh computer, but Apple is in a very interesting move. Apple is setting up that if you have a if you have an Apple Card, like that's given by Goldman Sachs, if you have an Apple Card, they want to attach a high yield interest savings account to that account, like similar to what to some banks and many credit unions do. They'll say there's an account suite. When you sign up, you get a share account, a checking account, you get a savings account, and you get your first credit card all in one. Well, it's similar. Apple is adding a savings account, and they call it high yield. They haven't published the rates, but the high yield account encourages saving through spending. So you can actually, when you use your purchase, instead of getting cash back like a credit, instead of getting a credit to your account like a cash back would, or instead of getting points or miles, they're actually depositing money into a savings account being held by Goldman Sachs. So I thought this was very interesting because even the software that we're architecting and designing, we always want to have a component of a savings plan as one of the milestones that you kind of what's next, right? We always want to have the milestones of savings, because savings for a down payment on a vehicle, savings for a down payment on a home, savings for emergency purposes, 3 months of savings for every for emergencies. All of those things are served by having a savings account, and Apple is literally dropping cash back, or by spending money, you're funding your savings account, which I applaud. And our own software is designed, or is being designed, to facilitate that process across all accounts, right? Or as a pool within the accounts to be used for debt reduction and savings for down payments. So this is all spectacular news. Not a lot on the front, but this is Merrill Chandler coming to you live Tuesdays at 3:45 Mountain Time. We'll see you same fundable time, same fundable channel. Enjoy.